Sparks, and I'm here in the Farthingale Sewing Studio, and I'd like to share some information about corset making supplies with you. The more you know about the supplies that are available, the better you'll be able to choose the correct product for your project. So I'm going to start with the software, or woven fabrics, coutil. Coutil is thought by some to be a herringbone weave, but not all herringbone weaves are coutil, and not all coutil is a herringbone weave. So I have some samples of coutil here in front of me. I'm going to show you first these. They are a herringbone coutil, come in 4 colors, and this is a soft coutil because if you can see, the herringbone is fairly far apart. It's about 1/4 of an inch wide. This is also herringbone coutil, but it's a much finer, tighter weave. So it's a stiffer, stronger fabric. This is what more advanced corset makers tend to use, where the soft coutil is what those who are new to corset making are more comfortable with, because they're more familiar with how the fabric handles. Both coutil are good coutil. They're both quality products. This one is just a bit firmer and a bit stiffer and will probably last a bit longer. There's also satin coutil. These two are matte satin. So they're a satin weave, very dense, but they're not very shiny. There's a matte satin to them. These are shiny satin coutil. If you make mistakes on the shiny satin coutil, it's a little more difficult to fix them. You tend to see the mistakes. So again, for the more advanced stitcher and for the more novice corset maker. These are my favorite coutil. They're rose brocades. So again, we so often think that a herringbone weave is a coutil, but so can a brocade be. And these are specifically designed for corset making. And they're all rose brocades. If you're making a double layer corset, use a herringbone as the lining and a brocade as the exterior. And if it's well made, that corset's going to last for years. You'll see a lot of wear. Dot coutil, also known as spot brooch, is the most popular coutil that we sell to theaters. We ship this around the world. It's an extremely durable coutil. It's easy to work with. It's strong. It holds its shape. And theaters use this not just for corset making, but they use it for doublets, for lining bodices, for boned gowns. There's also diamond coutil, and it's been used most popularly for a 1920s corset. There's also other brocades as well. That's it for coutil, and now I'm going to move on to lacing tape. This is lacing tape. It's a great product because you don't have to set your grommets yourself. It matches the coutil because it's made of coutil itself. So this is a product that Farthingales has made. It's made by 2 different companies. One makes the coutil, they ship the coutil to the other company who sets the grommets. There's room for bone channel on both sides of the grommets so that you've got the support you need. It's sold by the meter. This is a great product for anyone who's starting out in corset making because it's quick. You just sew the tape onto the back of the corset and you're done. You don't have to worry about measuring, you don't have to worry about special tools to set grommets. It's easy and it's accurate. Alright, next we're going to go on to bone casing tape. Bone casing tape comes in 2 sizes and 3 colors. Black, white, and beige. Again, they match the coutil. The beige we actually have custom dyed to match the coutil. Dye lots are sometimes different, so the match may not be perfect, but it's close. This size is a 3/4 inch bone casing tape, and it will hold 1/2 inch bones. Then there's 1/2 inch bone casing tape, which is the most common, and it holds 1/4 inch bones and 3/8 inch bones. or 6mm and 8mm bones. These are tapes, but they're actually a tube. So I'm not sure if you can see that. It's a tube. And you slide the bone into that tube so that it is completely encased by this tape. It's important to know that you sew the tape onto the corset before sliding the bones in. So always put your bone casing tape into the corset before you slide the bones into the bone casing tape. Bias tape. Bias tape cannot be used for bone casing. It's very light and it's very fragile in comparison to the bone casing tape. What we use bias tape for is to bind the top and bottom edge of the corset. And bias tape is a perfect choice because it will follow the curves of the corset. The top and the bottom edge of the corset are curved, and bias tape can bind those edges following the curves without puckering or pulling. Here's bias tape. It's just basic bias tape. It's in 3 different widths. I tend to prefer the 2-inch wide when I'm making my bindings. You can also make it out of fashion fabric. And I've drawn a line on this fashion fabric to show you the grain line. So you can see it's on the bias. If it was on the straight grain, that line, that drawn line, would be following the grain this way. So this is bias cut fashion fabric. And it's a great way to add a fashion detail to your corset. You can also use coutil. So this is the rose brocade coutil. It's been cut on the bias to make bias tape. I've already put the folds in it, and this can be used for bone casing tape. You can sew this onto a layer of coutil, sew a line down the middle, and you'll have 2 bones side by side. This is pre-packaged bias tape. You're looking for double fold extra wide if you're going to buy it pre-packaged. And it comes in a package usually about 3 meters, so you might need at least 1 but possibly 2 packages. It's better to buy 2 packages to be on the safe side, depending on the size of the corset that you're making. It's pre-folded, it's easy, it's not always the best quality. So I don't use this often unless I'm making just a fun corset, and I can get this in any color and sometimes in patterns. But usually I cut my own. So bias tape is the best choice for binding your corset edges. If you want to use ribbon to bind your corset edges, it's really important to use Petersham ribbon and not just ordinary ribbon. So this is an attractive ribbon, but it's got a very firm edge. It's got a selvage edge. And that means that it will not follow the curves of a corset edge easily. It will pucker and pull when you try to bind the edge with it. So you can't really use regular ribbon. Petersham ribbon, on the other hand, and I'm going to show that against the sweater, it's got little nubblies all along the edges. And these nubblies are really important because that tells you that this is Petersham ribbon and not grosgrain. Grosgrain and Petersham both have these ridges, but only Petersham has the little nubblies. And that means that when you bind your corset edge, you fold the ribbon in half and you press it. That ribbon will follow the curves without puckering and without pulling. So it's a perfect ribbon for binding your top and bottom edges. It comes in a variety of colors. Farthingales has it in beige, black, and white to coordinate with the coutils. Twill tape. We all know what twill tape is, and it's really easy to get. It comes in cotton or polyester. Often comes in a multitude of colors. It's not the most useful product for corset making. The only thing I use it for is the waist stay, and I use the 1-inch wide for a waist stay. And in cotton or polyester is fine. It just gives the waist a bit of extra support. It is not good enough quality product for bone casing, and it can't be used for binding because, again, it's got that very smooth edge, so it will pucker and pull if you try to use it for binding. And if you try to use it for bone casings, you'll get holes. The bones will work little holes through it. It's just not durable enough. but it is satisfactory for a waist stay. This product looks like twill tape, but it's not. It's Prussian tape. So it's a herringbone weave, but it feels very different. It's almost stiff, and this is durable enough to be used as bone casing tape. You would sew it, it's just one layer, it's not a two. You would sew it onto a layer of coutil and then slide your bone in. So Prussian tape is adequate for bone casing, twill tape is not, and they do look very much the same. Prussian tape is a little bit more difficult to find, so it's probably not something that you will find at your local fabric store. Lacing. All right, my favorite lacing is double-sided satin ribbon. And I like this because when you twist it, if it gets twisted, it looks the same on either side because it's satiny. So it's pretty. You can get it in a multitude of colors. And because it's polyester, it's strong, so it's very durable. It also slides through your grommets quite easily. So that's my favorite choice because of color selection, strength, and the fact that it slides through grommets. My next preferred lacing is nylon braided lacing. So you can see the braided pattern in that. It's a very strong lacing. Because it's made of nylon, it's dyeable. So this white, you can make it deep purple, you can make it red, you can dye it to any shade that you want. And the black, of course, is just black. This is an extremely strong corset lacing, and because it's nylon, it's got a bit of a sheen, so it's also rather attractive. It's, I think it's sometimes a hockey skate lace, but I could be wrong on that. There's also round lacing, and the important thing about round lacing is that it should have a cotton cord. So there should be a core in the middle. You can see that right there on the core out. So it's a braided circle with a core of cotton in the middle, and that gives it strength. This one is cotton, so it's dyeable. This one is rayon, so it's also dyeable, but it's got a bit of a sheen, so it's a little bit prettier. What I find about these is the quality is not always consistent. So sometimes in a stretch of it, there will be flaws. So that's why I'm not a particular fan of the braided cord. The polyester is strong, it's durable, it's not dyeable. But these also will slide through the grommets fairly easily. And there's knit lacing. I don't recommend knit lacing. You can see that that's a knit pattern. And the reason I don't is because it stretches. So as you're lacing, it's stretching. And as the corset is being worn, it's stretching. So I don't think it's the best choice, but it does exist, and you can use it. You need to make sure that you get a fairly narrow one. This beige one is a little bit wide, so it won't slide through the grommets quite as easily. This white one is a little bit narrower. Because these are cotton, they don't slide as well. So they are a little bit stickier. So I would stick to the satin ribbon or the nylon braid. And that concludes our software for corset making. And the next video will be about hardware. I'm Linda Sparks, and I hope you've learned something from this video today and will consider viewing some of the other videos that we're doing. I'm the owner of Farthingales here in Stratford, Ontario, Canada. We're an online store for corset making supplies, so you can find anything that we've used today on our website, and that's www.farthingalescorsetmakingsupplies.com. You can also find our product at Vogue Fabrics in Evanston, Illinois, and they also have a website, voguefabricsstore.com. So again, I hope you've enjoyed the video, I hope you've learned something, and I hope that you'll check in again. Thanks for watching.